Hey guys, it's Forever Blandy and I'm back with another video. As always, I want to thank you guys so much for all the likes, comments, and subscribing to my channel. I really appreciate it. So as you guys can see, your girl is back and she's better and she's feeling good. So let's get right into today's topic. Today was something that I really didn't want to talk about. I really didn't want to go into because I just felt like it's a sensitive topic. And if you know, you know. But as I record this video, you guys will be able to see my point of view and just kind of some of the things that has helped me through, my life. So as I pointed out when I first started to start recording videos, this is a place for adoptees, people who are motherless, fatherless, and I mean biologically, okay? So not speaking to the people that has mothered me or others, or has been a father to me or others. So I'm just speaking biologically, okay? So just a little bit about my backstory. I grew up without my mother, my biological mother, and my biological dad. That's something that you'll hear me say throughout these videos often, just because that's who my target audience is. You know, I make these videos for people who may walk through some of the things that I've walked through, but maybe not, the exact way similar. But it's mostly for the people who relates to the things that I've had to go through more. So sorry if I keep repeating myself. It's just, So I had to do some notes just to try to stay organized this time. So the topic of the video is going to be the disadvantage of not having your mother and the different women who has mothered me and has taught me things and, kind of what I've learned. So I guess you want to know, like, what do you need a mom for, right? And I think that's a question that people ask me all the time right now because I'm 36 now. Had to think about it. I'm 36, and what do you need a mom for at 36? Well, some of the things that I used to need a mother for, I don't no longer necessarily need that, but cooking, personality traits, character development, just someone to talk to run ideals past, someone that's consistently in your life. When the world turns their back on you, you at least know you can go home and you have your mother. Some of the other things was like finances, how to manage my finances, what is the proper way to manage your finances, how to budget off of a small budget, to go to the grocery store, to pay your bills, and just overall companionship. That's what I felt like I needed a mother for. And some of those things, I still sometimes feel like I lack that, but I found ways to fill the void. So one of the things I want to point out is the sooner you figure out what it is that you need a mother for or a father, the sooner you will be able to figure out how to fill that void. So do inventory, take some time to figure out what is it that you feel like you lack. If your mom was here, whether she's passed away or she's just not present in your life, what would that look like? What would you feel like you would get from her? And making sure that you don't allow anyone to compound off of your need for a mother or other things. So what I mean by that is it's going to be a lot of people out there in the world that can see that you lack, a mom or having a family, and they're going to try to compound off of that. Whether that be using you for different things, if it's financial things, a babysitter, just different things that people use people for. And so the reason why I feel like this video was so hard for me to try to record is because although me having different women in my life has helped me and elevated me and taught me so much about who I should be, how I should carry myself, what I should not do, all of those things, that having that void in my life cost me a lot. I went through a lot with a lot of different women. I just went through a lot of stuff, and I won't get into it on this video, but maybe one day I will record and kind of tell you guys some of the stories and some of the things that I've went through just in the search of having searching for my mom and different women and things like that. But I also want to point out that the lack of me having my mom has also provided me with so many women to teach me so many things. And so it's a lot about who I am is because of the women that's been in my life. And, I won't go into like the names of people because I just don't want to bring that up here. But in my in writing, I was able to like pinpoint the things that I've learned from each women in my life. And so I would say like one person taught me how to clean, one person provided a safe space, made sure I always had a home, made sure I had a place that I can go back to if things didn't work out when I got adventurous and tried to figure it out. Another person taught me about finances, taught me how to cook, taught me how to pray, taught me how to read the Bible, how to find the different problems that I might have and to look for scriptures in the Bible to kind of help me, through those hard times. And so I've learned a lot. I've learned how to be a wife. I've learned how to be a mother, a good mother, an attentive mother. I've learned how to, abandon my kids because, not everything that you learn from these women is going to always be good. Sometimes it's going to be bad things that you'll learn as well, but that's going to also teach you. And so that goes into my next point. One of the biggest things that you're going to learn from women around you is going to be it's going to be something that you'll learn through watching them. So not all the time will you ask them, hey, where did you get this? Or how did you do that? How did you buy your house? Not all the time, everything that you're going to learn from these women is going to be something that they're going to tell you directly. And I think that indirectly learning is probably one of the biggest things that I did. I watched them all the time. And I know I probably got on their nerves, but I watched every single move that they made, how they made it, how they carried themselves, how they dealt with conflict, how they dealt with pain, going through hard seasons and things like that. And that to me was how I learned the most of what I learned. I think that if you just think about somebody asking you certain things or, looking to you for support or advice and you're young yourself, it will make you freak out. And you probably like, girl, I don't have nothing to teach you. And so sometimes it's probably best for you not to ask people directly different things. Sometimes it's best for you to just look at them and watch them and learn things that way. I knew very on at an early age that I had a call on my life. I knew that God was going to take me places and I was going to do big things, but I didn't know how I was going to get there. And so one of the things I did was make sure that I knew what a good woman looked like. And I think that's hard to do when we grow up in the way that we grow up, when we grow up around the women that we grow up and the things that they've experienced. But also the Bible, right? So I know. But if you read the Bible and if you look at scriptures and things like that, that God teaches you who to be. He teaches you how to carry yourself. He teaches you how to deal with conflict, what love is, what love is not. And so that is kind of some of the things that I did to kind of help me figure out who I wanted to be. And that changed from season to season. It was a long time for me to figure out who I was, and sometimes I took on the roles of them. So like whatever they taught me, how they handle situations, how they went through things, that was the characteristics and things that I took on. And so it wasn't until I began to see the fruits of my labor and kind of see some of the ways that people accepted me or did not accept me, people wanting me around, not wanting me around, and just overall what people said about my character. And so then that's when I had to realize, oh, wait, I don't want to do that. I don't want to be that. I don't want to be that or, whatever. And so then that's when I had to figure out who I was. And so I think I freaked out. When I prayed and I asked God, I said, God, okay, now it's time for me to figure out who I am, what I want, and what that looks like. I've learned everything that I can learn from the people around me. They've taught me everything. There's nothing else for them to teach me. So the thing is okay, God, do you bring me another woman to teach me something else, to get me further, to take me to where I'm trying to go? Or how do I figure it out? And so I remember God was just like, you know, hey, the things that you're going to learn is going to be through me. It's going to be through praying, through reading my word. And that's how you're going to develop into who I've called you to be. And I was so frustrated because it's like at that time in my life, although I grew up in church and although I did read my Bible, I didn't understand most of that stuff, you know? And so I was just like, okay, well, great. Now I gotta, here we go, you know? And so it was very frustrating for me. But one of the things I want to say is make sure that you read Psalms and Proverbs. Those are two very good places in the Bible that you can figure out who you are and what your character traits are and who you're supposed to be and how you're supposed to deal with certain things. But I also have listed a couple scriptures here, and then I'm going to also list them in the description box. So make sure you read the description box so that you can get, you know, these tools and resources. So 1 Corinthians 13:4-8, and that talks about love. And it just kind of tells you what love is and what it's not. So it's not self-seeking. Love is patient. Love is kind. It's not boastful. It's not easily angered. Love is kind, as I already said. It's not proudful. It keeps no record of wrong. And so that just kind of tells you. So if you feel like you grew up in a house where it wasn't really good love, for me, I was raised off of survival. I was raised off of a lot of trauma, a lot of abuse. You know, although my mom raised me in the church, she was just a lot. So when I had to think about what real love was, I had no idea. When I had to think about, you know, what a good friend was, I didn't know. I had a clue because I had some good friends. I knew how to kind of be a good friend, but I wasn't completely for sure on what that looked like. So you want to also, that's why I had to look in the Bible and I had to figure out what love was and what love was not. That way, when I go out here and I make get into a new relationship, make new friends, I know what I'm looking for. I know what to receive. I know how to show up. I know how to be. And so that is one of the main things that I always go back to reference, and that's who I set myself off of. Another one is Mark 14. So it just talks about awareness versus alertness. So being aware of what is happening around you so that you can have the right response. And so you'll have to read Mark 14 because I didn't put it in here, but it basically just teaches you how to be aware of your surroundings, how to respond to things, how to show up. So that's another good one. And then one more is Galatians 6:9. So it talks about endurance versus giving up. And so that is just an example for you to be able to see a lot of the ways of which you can figure out who you are. You know, if you know, a lot of people have learned what their purpose is from how they grew up, how their parents raised them, some of their characteristics, some of the things that they did, things in their family. But if you don't have your biological family to reference, if you can't talk to your biological mother or your adoptive mother because of whatever reason, you need to be able to look to something to be able to figure out who you are. So that's when you will look at read your Bible, read the word, okay? And so then another thing I want to say is you have to be happy without your mom. You have to be able to get up out of the bed without your mom. No one should be the sole responsibility for you. You have work to do on yourself and you have to do it yourself. Don't put so much up on the different women around you to be able to show you who you are. And so that's why I made it really important to be able to give you guys tools and resources to figure out who you are, to figure out how to carry yourself, to figure out how to, you know, figure out things yourself, because you don't want to put that on somebody else. Number one, God has given you the vision for your life. And if he hasn't, seek him for that. He hasn't given it to other people. And so I think that the hardest thing for me was to figure out what my purpose was because I couldn't recall who I was as a kid. And if you think about it, when people tell you what your purpose is, they tell you to look back at what you liked when you were growing up, things that interest you. But if you were going through so much trauma and so much chaos, you were just surviving. So you have no idea necessarily what interests you. And if you're not talking to your mom, whoever that may be, then how in the world are you supposed to figure that out? And sometimes, you know, our parents grew up off survival too. So they didn't grow up knowing what it looked like to nurture your gifts and to figure out who you are and compound off of that to make money or to provide a lifestyle for you. They just survived. So sometimes you can't go back to them and ask them, hey, what did I like when I was growing up? I don't know, girl, I don't know nothing about that. You know how they do. And so for me, figuring out my purpose was so hard. I mean, that was one of the things that stressed me out. It still stresses me sometimes to this day because it's just like, I don't know. But as I began to spend time with my family and I began to spend more time with myself and God, I'm beginning to learn who I am, what I like, what I don't like, how I want to carry myself, what is going to, all of the things, right? So I'm not going to go into that. But anyway, one of the other things that I did too was that I love to eat. So that was a hard one for me. As people began to walk out of my life and I began to transition from the people that I had around me as a kid to making my own friends and doing all the things, I was like, okay, well, what am I supposed to eat? Okay. Because I didn't know how to cook at first. And so I was like, how am I going to learn? And so of course I grew up in a house with a chef. He taught me stuff. My adopted mom taught me stuff, and then my godmom. So I learned a lot about cooking. I just never had to do it. So it's different, right? So I would watch YouTube videos. I would look recipes up on Pinterest because Pinterest is always like a great place for you to find anything that you need, right? And then I just tried it. I messed up a lot of food. Some stuff was edible, some stuff was not, but now your girl can cook. So if you feel like you need to eat to survive, and that is one of the things that you feel like you're lacking without your mom, look on Pinterest, look on YouTube. There's so many resources nowadays that you can figure out how to cook. TikTok, I heard. I don't know about that, but I heard. So just different places that you can figure out how to cook a meal for yourself, because you're gonna have to do that. The other thing that I did was I didn't mix, okay? So when I first began to branch off from my adopted mom and I had to kind of figure out my people and things like that, I made each family, each mom, or each woman that facilitated my growth, my everything. And so that meant I went to the same church they went to. I took on their friends, their personalities, all of the things. And so anything that, revolved around what I wanted or what I had prior to them was no more. And so I did that each time. So imagine starting over every single time from scratch, every single time that you go to a different family, okay? So don't mix. Make sure you have your own church. Make sure you have your own friends. Make sure that you have your own life, whatever that looks like. So figure out how to pick up a hobby, figure out what it is that you like, not what they like, what it is that you like, and make sure that you don't mix those things. So if somebody, does nails, let's just use an example. If they do nails and they're here to come along and teach you about finances, just say, don't mix. So you already go somewhere to get your nails done. Don't let them do your nails. Just let them teach you how to do finances. And so that was one of the most biggest important things that I could learn, because that means when your assignment is up in my life, don't mean that you're wrong. Doesn't mean that I did something to you. Even though you may have, I may have. But it just means your assignment is up in my life. So that brings me to my next point. Make sure that you let people go when their assignment is up. When they've taught you what you need to learn from them, whether it's a good lesson or a bad lesson, because people are here to teach us both, and that's how we learn the most of the things that we're going to learn. Let them go. Don't try to hold on to people, because you hinder your blessings trying to keep people in your life longer than they're supposed to be here. And so I'm trying to hurry up because I don't want this video to be too long, but make sure you don't mix, okay? Also, what else do I want to say here? Make sure you ask questions. Don't take everything personal. Don't take on their character traits or their attitudes. Make sure that you set boundaries. Take good care of yourself, okay? So remember the order, right? The order is God first, yourself, and then everybody else. Don't mess up the order. You know, so if someone needs something from you, God first, yourself, and then everybody else. So everybody else can wait. So, you know, although we're set here on this earth to give to people and to pour into people, we have to make sure that we're pouring into ourselves. And in pouring into ourselves and making sure we know what we want, making sure that we feel loved, make sure that we're having good self-talk to ourselves, making sure that we're, you know, nurturing ourselves, babying ourselves, loving on ourselves. In doing that, we have to make sure we keep that order, right? So if you lack a mother, because this is what this is about, you lacking a mother or a father or, you know, both, right? If you lack that, where are you going to get the nurturing from? Because it's a lot of women that don't know how to nurture. So although I've learned so much from different women in my life, I lack nurturing, right? But I like that. That's naturally who I am. I love to be nurtured. I love to be cared for. Make sure that you do that for yourself. And if you don't know what that looks like, figure it out. What do you need? If you know you need to eat 3 meals a day, how are you going to do that? If you know that you need to talk nice to yourself, because we all need to do that, right? What does that look like? And so for me, I think one of the things that I did when I was going through chemo and radiation, because this is like the most example I think of, that's where I learned good self-talk. That's how I learned how to talk to myself. And so when I was getting up and I, you know, was sick or whatever, come on, it's okay. You got this, you can do it. You know, bargaining tools with myself. Hey, if you get up and wash your face, then I'll make you a smoothie, you know, whatever. And it's just like how you would nurture a kid. That's how you got to nurture yourself. You got to think of yourself as you're your parent. So I have to parent myself, which means I have to protect myself. I can't allow you to take me through hell and back because I got to protect myself. So if I know you don't mean me well, I'm not going to allow you to do that to me because I'm my parent. I wouldn't let that happen to my kid, right? So that's how you got to make sure that you parent yourself, okay? So really quick, the other thing is not every woman that you meet is going to be a person that's going to teach you something. Not every woman that you meet is going to mother you. Not every woman that you meet is going to be an aunt to you or, you know, kind to you. Some people can see the gift in you. Some people can see who you are. Some people simply can just see the fact that you go through bad things and you can get up and keep it going, and they mad at you for that. So don't ignore the signs. You know, one of the greatest things that I experienced, I want to keep saying, is that I was mothered by a lot of different women, right? A lot of people poured into me. A lot of people made sure I learned the things that I learned. If it was a crash course, real quick, if it was time spent, whatever that looked like. But some of the most painful stories, some of the most things that anger me, that just really irritates me, came from a woman that mothered me in some kind of way. So what I want to say is for me, I wanted a family. I wanted to hold on to people really, really bad. And so I ignored the signs. And so I stayed in relationships, in family, way longer than I should have. When it was a quick up, quick down. What are you here to teach me? And so that's another thing that you have to make sure that you realize. What is that person here to teach you? What gifts and talents do they have? What part of what is in them, you know, is that needs to be in you? Once you are able to pinpoint that, and you need to do that right away. Once you're able to pinpoint that, then you know what it is that you're supposed to receive from them, and then you move on. Now, I'm not telling you to be a one-sided relationship, but if they're here to teach you, that's what their assignment is for. Don't make it more than what it is, okay? So, but like I said, make sure that you have your own friends, your own church, your own hobbies, your own things, because that's what you're going to need. I'm probably gonna have to do a part 2 to this video because it's a lot more that I could probably say. But if you guys have questions, if you know someone who is motherless, right? Someone who is fatherless, show them this video, because these are things that I wish people would have taught me early on in my life to make sure that I, you know, I knew this, because this would have saved me a lot of heartache, a lot of pain. So the other thing I want to say is I want to give you guys a book to read, because I always want to give you resources. I gave you a lot of scriptures, but I'm going to put them in the description as well. The book is Real Love by Sharon Salzberg. And I might have said this before, but if I did, That's a really good book. It teaches you a lot about personal growth, about loving people, how to open your heart back up to love, how to receive love, what healthy love is. When you don't have your mom and your dad, you have no idea. When you were raised by somebody that was a narcissist, somebody that was very abusive, you have no idea what good love is. So in order for you to attract love, you have to figure out what healthy love is. So read the book. And then the other thing is Good Good Father is the song. Good Good Father by Toliman, I believe that is the name. Listen, I know it's cliche. I know that it will make you probably feel like, girl, get out my face. But God is a good, good father. He's a good, good father. And once you figure out how good God is and how much he loves you, and not just what people say, like he died on the cross for your sins and all the things that we already know. Once you figure out that, you will no longer look at yourself as a motherless child. You will no longer look at yourself as a fatherless child, because God is there. He has been there with you the whole time, and he is going to be the person that's going to remain, whether you are a good person, whether you're bad, whether you're in transition, no matter what, he's going to be there. So I hate to say this, but you got to read your Bible. You got to spend time with God. You got to be able to see that he really is a good, good father, and he loves you and he cares for you. Don't look at yourself as abandoned anymore. Don't look at yourself as the person that's not wanted. And I got the right to tell you that, because guess what? Your girl didn't grow up with her mom or her dad, okay? So I hope that this helped you guys. I always say that. But I really hope that this helped you. I want you guys to know that I love you. I want you to know that you're not alone on this journey, that you have a friend in me. And as always, thank you guys so much for subscribing, and you have a good rest of your day.